Hello, everybody. Once again, we are back here, and I know this time, this person that I've invited is not the usual. They have like a story behind something they've gone through that is quite traumatic. But hers, yeah, well, in a way it is. But more importantly, her occupation is very unusual. She is actually an opera singer. I mean, how often? I mean, we know singers. We know, it's not the same. This is not like karaoke time. It's not. This is like next level because I sing karaoke, and trust me, this is next level. And I've always had so much. They're so mysterious, and so So how do people even do that? The way they project, and I can imagine the years of training. So this is Sharon, and she's all the way from Germany. She's from Australia, but now she lives in Germany in this beautiful city. I'll let Sharon talk to you about what she does because the purpose of all my videos is at the end of it, you have a solution to something. And today we are trying to help you become an opera singer. And how do we do that? But first, you need to learn about the journey, though. It's not as easy, but it's worth it. So I'll let Sharon explain to you what she does while I go and do this whole Facebook thing that I do every week. All right, over to you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Well, I'm calling in from Germany. It's just after 8 a.m. and I've been living here now for approximately 19 years. No, actually it is 19. At the end of May, it was 19 years.
Nice.
And I grew up in the outer eastern suburbs of Melbourne, and it was my dream always to be a singer. And I didn't know what that was, but what it has eventuated into is a full-blown operatic career that started in Melbourne, transitioned to Sydney, and then I took the big leap and it came to Germany. And I've been singing here in opera houses across the country, but mostly in the city of Wiesbaden, which is about 40 kilometers from Frankfurt. And in the time I've been here, I have learned and performed or debuted over 40 major operatic roles. So yeah, that's what I've been doing the last years. And of course, since COVID, that all went very, very pear-shaped. And I'm sure I'll be able to tell you about that story too as we progress.
Exactly, because everything is shut down. But besides that, Sharon, what else do you do?
I am also a mindset coach, and that takes the form of life coaching as well. But so I work mostly with performers, but also with people who I feel stuck or they want to move forward with their lives. And that has become my new and latest passion. And it works perfectly with performing, particularly when I am coaching performers. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That's right. You help people become the diva that you are. And this is a real thing though. When people think diva, it is like, oh, it's not. I mean, she is actually a diva. That's a real thing, right? That's a real name, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, isn't that amazing? This is the real deal. This is not the deal that you give yourself, then I'm the diva. No, this is it. This is what they actually call them. So when you say that, you knew you wanted to sing, when people think that, they usually think, pop songs. Do you know what I mean? The mainstream.
Absolutely. And when I was young, the first things I was singing was pop music. My parents weren't interested in classical music whatsoever. In fact, the only piece of classical music, we had albums. So, I'd put the record on, and the only thing my dad had was Hooked on Classics. I don't know if you remember that. Anyway, other than that, I knew nothing about opera. I didn't even know it existed until I got to high school and started studying music at the secondary college in the outer eastern suburbs of Melbourne, that I discovered what opera was. And I thought it was amazing. Wow. I mean, what an incredible art form that combines music and drama and acting. And as an opera singer, you can't think linearly. You have to think multidimensionally, because it's such a layering process. You learn the music. That's my process. You sit at the piano and you learn the role, and you learn the notes first, and then you add the words. But then behind that, you have to know the character you're learning and where she fits into the story and what sort of personality she has and her motives in the opera.
Yeah.
And then you get to a music call with a repetiteur, or someone who's playing the piano, or even the conductor. and you start looking at the nuances of the music with them, because they also have an idea about what they want.
Yes.
And then you get to the rehearsal stage, and then you get the director. And then the director says, well, this is what I want from the music. And they might have a completely different idea of what you have conceptualized in your brain.
Yeah.
And then you have the costumes. So the costume, they might be, is it a period piece, or is it set in today? Is it, you know, and then you're dealing with the costumes. And I've had some crazy costumes.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got the set. Like, you know, sometimes you get a set designer who you just know loves voices, and they know what they're doing, and they create this wonderful shell that's just going to help you in your job to project your voice across the orchestra.
Wow.
You know, it's all this stuff going on.
No.
And then in the moment, you are singing and relating to your colleagues, and you're acting, and then you're watching the conductor. And there's so much going on.
I know. But, you know, humor me, because what is the difference between opera and besides, you know, different language? I'm going to tell you my limited understanding of opera. It's usually in a foreign language. Okay. And yeah. And that's the only difference I know between an opera and a musical. Now you fill in my gaps.
Yeah, I think you can look at opera as much more, it's accessible for everybody. You know, everyone thinks it's some elitist form, but it's not. And here in Germany, you can go to the opera for like 12 euros. It's almost cheaper than going to the cinema.
Wow, really?
Absolutely.
I did think it's really fancy. I did think that.
Yeah, but don't be deceived by that. It's really not like that. So to answer your question, I think, you know, we're looking back, opera started with Monteverdi in Italy. So yes, it did start with other languages. I sing in Italian, French, Russian, English, German, of course. That's another thing, you know, you have to think about, if you want to be an opera singer, start learning your European languages.
Can you speak those languages?
I can speak, obviously, German fluently, and English, obviously, it's my mother tongue. I started studying Italian, and I studied it for a number of years. And then when I landed in Germany, it's funny. It just disappears while you're learning another language.
Yeah. It
comes back, and I can understand a lot. And of course, when I'm sitting down and learning a role in Italian, I have to know what I'm saying. Yeah. And I have to know what my colleagues are saying in order to really bring the drama and bring the whole thing to life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to your question. Musical theatre was, I guess, opera in a simplified form.
Yes, that's right.
Because it's still the same medium, isn't it? You're telling a story through song, and what you're doing is you also have a lot of time in musicals, you have dialogue, which isn't always the case in opera. Operetta, yes, which is almost like a bridge between, you've got musicals, operetta, and then opera.
Yeah. I just feel that it's more technical. Like opera is more technical than, you know, it's the highest form of singing to me in my.
Yes, I think I would agree with you. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because it's so amazing. You can hold that note to even get there. It's just mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
Well, it's all technique. You learn how to sing like that. You learn how to project. You learn how to use your body. And being a singer is a bit like an athlete. And I have to watch what I eat, minimize my alcohol, because that really dries the voice out.
Oh, wow, really?
Lots of sleep, drinking loads of water, keeping fit. Do you know what? I remember once I was singing Norina in an opera, Don Pasquale. And the director put us on what's called in German a Drehbühne, which is basically a revolving stage. And I was singing this very difficult duet with my colleague who sings the role of Malatesta. And what he wanted us to do was keep moving while we're on the stage and do all these moves back and forth and dance and keep forward, but move our bodies and look like we were walking because the stage was moving beneath us. Anyway, I remember I was 40 at the time, and I remember that because that was the day I decided I needed to learn how to jog, or I needed to jog. I needed to actually have great lung capacity as an opera singer. This is something also you develop. But at the end of that duet, I was nearly dead.
Oh my God.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to get fit. I've got to get fitter. And then I started jogging, and it helped my breathing and my singing immediately. So you have to stay
Wow.
fit.
How fascinating. So before we go to the next segment, we're just going to do a quick summary of this. So so everybody who's watching this and you're thinking, oh yeah, I want to be an opera singer, or even musicals though, because they dance around a lot, they're prancing around a lot, you
Oh
need
my
to
God.
get fit.
You need to be fit. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, singing musicals is also extremely demanding.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, you're acting, you're singing, you're watching the conductor, you're remembering your lines and your words and in the music, and at the same time giving out this love and energy to the audience.
That's right. That's right. Is it always a live orchestra?
Always.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, always.
My goodness. No, musicals are not quite the same though. They don't always need to be that. I don't think they don't always have a live.
No, I think there are some times when there's recorded music comes in.
Yeah, that's right. Wow, that's so challenging. No, this is next level. Absolutely. I now have a new respect. I forgot the live orchestra part of it, that you need to work with yet another element besides the singing and the interaction. Wow, the heightened awareness is just crazy.
But Karen, do you know what? Opera is such a massive team effort. So you have, I mean, there's your job as a soloist to, of course, give your very best every night. But then you've got the orchestra in the pit who are all playing the music. You have the conductor. You have all the people side stage who are looking after the lighting. You get a call over the system saying, Frau Kempton, please come to the stage. So you've got someone who's literally sitting in a box at the side of stage directing everything, telling the lighting, telling them when a set has to fly in. And then you've got all the techies. So you can have, I don't know, sometimes up to 7 or 8 guys out the back moving the sets and making sure the curtain's coming in at the right time.
Wow.
It's a team effort. And then you've got the people backstage, the people helping us dress, get into our costumes. You've got the people doing our makeup.
Yep.
You've got a souffleur, which is basically a prompter sitting somewhere on the stage, spitting out the words. And I've needed that sometimes.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
No wonder this used to be such an expensive spectator, extravaganza. Do you know what I mean?
Oh gosh, putting on an opera is a huge deal financially.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why it cost, that's why it used to cost so much. Only rich people can afford to buy the tickets, because rightly so, because of the, wow.
Oh, $120 for a ticket. People, if you only knew what it costs to put on an opera, it's massive.
Yeah,
Truly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in the next section, Sharon, we would like to ask you to take us back. So you've talked about, yes, you're interested in singing, and then you've talked us through how you got to where you are today. Don't leave anything behind, because people need to know that to get to where you are, it hasn't been easy, and it's not easy, but perseverance though.
Persistence and perseverance, absolutely key. So I have a very lovely story. When I was in year 11 in Australia, so I was around about 16. And I had a very, very dedicated music teacher, actually 2 very dedicated music teachers. And I remember this day, this lady's name is Jan Lee, and she came to me and she said, Sharon, I'm so excited. We're going to get a singing teacher to come to the school. He's going to be here just 1 day a week. So there are only very limited places. And we just know that we want you. We were asking, you're the first person that we want to ask you if you would want to take part in this. And I was immediately, yes. Aww. And then I kind of went, oh no, I can't. And she looked at me really puzzled, because she knew that's all I wanted to do was sing. And I said, no, my dad's just lost his job and I'm one of 5 kids. And I couldn't ask him for money, because it was, okay, this teacher was coming, but mum and dad still had to pay the money for the singing lessons, right? So she looked at me and went, okay, I completely get it. Anyway, unbeknownst to me, she raced up to the principal's office. I was just at a normal state school.
Yeah,
and
wow.
Went into the office and went into the principal and said, we have a very, very talented student in our midst who would benefit from singing lessons,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to pay for that. And apparently he told me the story later. He was just like, right, yep, okay, we can do that. She sort of pinned him to the wall.
Yeah.
So for year 11 and year 12, the school paid for my singing lessons.
Wow. How amazing is that? I must say though, you must be phenomenal.
Well, that's a lovely compliment. Thank you.
You have to be there for someone to put themselves in front of it and say, you know what, I'm going to advocate for this girl. It must mean you're good, really good.
You know what? But she had a special belief in me, which I will be eternally grateful for. You know, and I've had people in my life like that who have believed in me at a time when that belief in myself wasn't there, which has helped spur me forward, you know, and help push me to where I wanted to be. Now, she also used to take me to the opera. She took me to my first opera at the Arts Centre in Melbourne.
Really? Aww.
And she used to take me to a Stedford's. Like, she would drive me from Croydon, where I was living with my parents and my family, all the way to Dandenong. And she would sit there and watch me sing, and then she'd drive me home. And she did that for a couple of other students as well. So she went above and beyond. She believed in me.
Yeah.
And like I said before, I will be eternally grateful for that. So then I went from this high school, and then I went to Melbourne University, and I studied performance. But here's the thing, at that time I still didn't have enough belief in myself, and it was also a passion, but out of practicality, I did a double major. So I studied music therapy and music performance.
Yeah.
At that time, because I wanted to sing and I wanted to perfect my art, but I still had this underlying belief that, oh yeah, you're never going to make it as a singer. You better do this other thing as well.
Yeah, plan B.
Plan B, but that doesn't take anything away from music therapy. I grew as a person by doing that course, and I was a very good music therapist. And I did that for 7 years after I graduated from Melbourne University.
Yeah.
Working with children with multiple disabilities and older adults.
Wow.
And I absolutely loved it. But all the time I was working on my singing. So I was continuing with my singing lessons. I was studying Italian. I was always, trying to go better and further. And then I got a job with what was then the VSO, the Victoria State Opera, in the chorus. My first professional gig was actually Aida singing in the chorus. And I have amazing memories from that as well. And at the same time, I jumped in and started the Diploma of Opera at the Victorian College of the Arts.
Yeah.
But I ended up actually, and rightly so, the director. So I was in that course, which is 3 nights a week. It was pretty intense. And then I got this job with the VSO.
Yeah.
And they said, you're going to be at this many rehearsals. And it really started clashing with my commitment at the VSO. Yeah. And I had to make, it was a really difficult decision at the time. Do I finish that diploma, or do I go actually where I want to be, working as a paid singer?
Yeah, that's right.
I ended up pulling out of the course at the VSO, the VCA, the Victorian College of the Arts. Yeah. And I went with the professional gigs. And then more and more of those came. So really at the end of the day, that was the right decision for me.
Yeah.
So here I was juggling my music therapy, putting on recitals, putting together with a wonderful musician by the name of Phoebe Briggs in Melbourne, who's now the music director of the Victorian Opera Company.
Wow.
We worked together tirelessly, creating all sorts of programs. So it was lots of self-motivating stuff, just putting myself out there.
Yeah.
And then I got my sort of big break as a full-time singer with Opera Australia, singing in their schools company performance or production of the Hansel and Gretel. So what I did was then in 1999, I stopped all my music therapy work and I worked full-time, basically, and it's a wonderful training ground. So imagine this, we did 280 performances of a reduction of Hansel and Gretel.
Wow, that's a lot.
We would get up in the morning. We had these 2 vans. We'd pick each other up. There was father, mother. There was 5 of us plus the pianist.
Yeah.
Drive around, pick each other up, drive to a primary school somewhere in inner city Melbourne. take the set out of the vans, put it up, perform the opera, answer the questions of the kids, pack it up, put it back in the van and drive to the next school.
Yeah. So that is like a educational piece.
It is. It's literally taking opera to children.
That's so good. I love
it's
it.
A magnificent program. It's really, really great. Yeah. And I did that for a year and I absolutely loved it because it also, it's a training ground for you to get up every morning and do your art, regardless of how much sleep you've had or how good you feel, or you get up there and perform.
That's right.
And in the same time, you're educating. This is what opera is. This is fun, really, tangible stuff.
Yeah.
So I did that for a year. And then I had this year of, I didn't have anything singing wise. That was quite challenging. And then, but a little step back. So go back to 1997 and I entered what's called then what still is the Herald Sun Aria competition. And any singers out there from Australia will be familiar with that comp. And I was determined to do well in it. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I got to the final. And that night when they announced my name, that I was to be in the final, I was overcome with joy and euphoria, but also gratitude. Now, get this, and this is the key, and this is what I coach now. All my goal was to get to the final.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be in the final. I want to be in the final. I want to be in the final.
That's right.
And I got to the point where I believed I could, even though when I got there, I was totally, So then, after they've announced the 6 people to be, to sing on the concert hall in Melbourne at Hamer Hall, it was like, wow. I remember we were then whisked off, and the Herald Sun was there, and they took our photographs for the newspaper and all for the glossy.
Centerfold.
Yeah, literally the program. That was the word I was searching for.
Yeah.
And then they interview you. So the judges sit you down and they said, Sharon, what would you do with the 30,000 Australian dollars and the $50,000 travel scholarship? And I'm just going, oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you. I can't believe I'm in the final. Thank you for teasing me. I mean, hello. They probably looked there and went, what's this girl about? She has no idea. And I really didn't. I had not thought about winning. I had not taken my thinking to where I actually would have benefited me most.
That's
because
right.
My belief in myself, Karen, wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
I thought, surely I can make it to the final. Surely, please, universe. But then I didn't think beyond that.
That's right. You weren't ready when it was there presented because you asked for it, but you didn't prepare yourself.
I didn't prepare myself for winning.
That's
what
right.
It looked like in my mind to win that competition.
That's right. And that is so vital though.
It's absolutely imperative. So there I was, and of course I didn't win, but it was a magnificent experience. And I walked away with $1,000. You get $1,000 for singing on the night. So that was a big deal. And then I thought, do you know what? It was the biggest wake-up call for me, because I thought, Sharon, you've got all these wonderful teachers who believe in you and friends and stuff, but you don't believe in you. And I had to do a lot of mirror work, and I had to change some beliefs I had about myself. And I was doing what we now call is an unconscious competent. I was doing all this stuff, which now I formalized through my training, which helped me take me to the next level. So picture yourself 3 years later, it's year 2000, and I've been doing the work. I've gone back to Melbourne Uni, and I've been doing a master's, and I really trying to perfect my performing skills. I'd organised with a couple of other people from the BSO to create what we called our audition club or our audition group, and we'd get together once a week or every 2 weeks and rehearse our arias for each other and set up all sorts of audition scenarios where you start to sing and you're in 2 bars into your aria and they go, yeah, thanks, that's enough. Yeah. And then how you deal with that.
That's so right.
We were training ourselves.
I love it.
And I encourage any singers, get together with your friends and do that. Absolutely set up. And also, you can be singing in an audition and the people who are there are talking to each other and writing notes. And
Isn't it? They don't pay attention to you, and you cannot be thrown. You cannot be thrown. I've learned that too.
Absolutely. So anyway, here we are, year 2000, and I enter the Herald Aria competition again, and this time with laser focus. I'm like, I'm going to win. And I'd planned what I would do with the money. I wanted to go to Germany. So the idea was already there in my head, and who I was going to study with and all that sort of thing. I was ready. So when I got to the final, when I was chosen as a finalist and I got to that interview, I said, this is what I'm going to do. This is, and my confidence was just at another level.
Yeah.
Anyway, that night, I didn't win. I came second. And that's okay, because I got much further than I had the time before.
Absolutely.
And I came second to a magnificent singer, Rochelle Durkin, who's gone on to do amazing things in the opera world. Anyway, the next day we both got a call from Opera Australia. And she told me I've also got an offer of a job in the chorus. And at the same time, I'd auditioned in Queensland. I'd flown up to Queensland, had an audition for their young artist program, and it was between me and another soprano. So I was like, oh, I've got to wait for that decision to come through before I even consider going to moving from Melbourne to Sydney, making the big move.
Yeah.
And there were things going on for me as well, because Karen, I just wanted to be a soloist. That's all I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've done my work in the chorus. I know I'm ready.
Yeah.
And then one of my mentors at the time, John Dingle, who has sadly since passed, he said, Sharon, just go there, just establish yourself and make it known that you want to be a soloist.
That's right.
So I did. Got there first day at the rehearsal centre in Surrey Hills. I went straight to the casting guy and I said, Stuart, I want to be a soloist. And he's like, okay. And I would really love you to consider me for small roles and understudies.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And the very next day in my pigeonhole, there was this letter saying, we'd like you to cover the page in Rigoletto. And I'm like, yay. And the part was 4 bars long, but it was a start, right?
That's right. That's right. I don't know whether is it hers or is it mine.
And you sing an hour of music. Then just to pop on and sing 4 bars, because that can be, doesn't always have to be, but can be more nerve-wracking, because you've got to be there, open the gates at the right time, sing your 4 bars and then close them and then go back to your dressing room. So yeah, that's pretty funny. And so there I was with Opera Australia. And then I started doing more work. I'm thinking, okay, every time we had a big star come, whether it was Liza Cannell or whether it was Lisa Gastine or some of the big Australian stars or people from overseas, I would ask them if I could have a lesson with them, or if they could hear me sing, or if I could sing for them and they could give me some feedback. And that was really, really beneficial as well. And that's what I say to people, ask. What's the worst thing that can happen? Someone will say no to you. So I'd ask and I'd sing for conductors, big name conductors that came from overseas. And I would ask them, please, can I sing for you? And they were always really happy to help.
That's right. That's the thing though. Actually, people would. And the thing is, we are too scared because we have too much pride to ask.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, drop the ego, just go and ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is a thing I say too. If someone says no to you, you're not any worse off. Before you asked them, you didn't have what you wanted.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. That is the perfect attitude. So let's jump you forward to how you landed your solo role. I know it wasn't easy.
No, so the plot thickens. So here I was thinking, I'm really making headway. I'm really focused on being a soloist. And I thought it's time to sing for the general music director. So I asked for an audition and I sang for this person. And basically the feedback I got was, for me, heartbreaking. So this person just said, listen, you're not soloist quality, not for us. And you're going to just stay in the chorus. For as long as I'm here, that's where you stay. And I was devastated.
Oh, yeah.
And what was also devastating at the time was my agent at the time. He said to me, first of all, he held this information from me. I kept asking, have I got a letter about my audition? What's the feedback? And then eventually he said, I didn't think you really wanted to know. And I said, hang on. I have to, if I'm going to accept the good, then I have to accept the bad and then decide what I'm going to take from that.
That's right.
he told me about what she'd said and her beliefs, and I was just like, oh my God. And then he kind of rubbed salt into the wound and said, you know, Sharon, I've got some other really beautiful girls on my books, like, you know, in his agency that he promotes as singers, and he said, you know, they're really, really beautiful, and maybe you need a makeover.
Holy shit.
I know. And I was, and like, I'll share something very, very private with you, and that is I'd had for such a long time had a very, very low self-image and self-esteem about how I looked. I'd had some real issues with it, right? And all kids do, you know, going through adolescence, thought I was the ugliest person. And then I had people, also I gave my power over to some people who told me I was ugly, or, do you know what I mean? And I'd grown up thinking that. So when he said that, that triggered something very deep in me.
Absolutely.
So, you know, that was a really hard day. So I thought, okay, so this person who won't let me be a soloist has the key to the playground. And there's not too many operatic playgrounds in Australia, as you know. And then so I did two things. I fired my agent.
Rightly so. Well done, you. Yeah.
And then I started focusing on how I could get somewhere else. And so these ideas about Germany kept coming up. And there's an organisation in Australia called Opera Foundation Australia, which is a magnificent organisation that organises through sponsorship and their connections with big opera houses around the world, opportunities for young Australian singers to make that launch onto another stage, whether it be at the Met, whether it be at Covent Garden, whether it be in Cologne at the opera house there. So I focused my sights on the Cologne competition. At that time, it was called the German Operatic Award. And Karen, I became a little bit obsessed with it, which is kind of, I think, what you need to do.
That's right.
Take this level.
Absolutely.
So I prepared my arias. I worked on them with various people. I worked on the language side of things with different vocal coaches. I started writing affirmations. If you could have come into my bedroom at the house I was renting in Flemington, you would have seen fluorescent pieces of A4 paper with, I am an international opera singer. I live in Germany. I am.
Wow, I love it. Yeah.
And then I started visualizing me in the competition, sitting there, imagining, going through my arias, seeing the beaming faces of the audience, doing what I needed to do. I started picturing myself walking down the streets of Cologne. I mean, we've got so many things at our fingertips. You can go onto Google Earth. I mean, I can't remember if that was what I used, but I looked up books on Cologne and the opera house and imagined myself standing in front of it, or standing on the stage, or putting myself where I wanted to be. And this is the sort of stuff now that I coach. Yeah. And it's getting people to where they want to be.
Exactly.
We all have amazing faculties that we can use to get us what we want and where we want to be. And also, like I said, asking the universe for it. And I even, Karen, and this wasn't an ego thing, I even wrote out my acceptance speech. And
no, you got to be prepared. Oh, that's nothing to do with ego. It's getting prepared.
And that day when they announced me as the winner,
holy shit.
Oh my God, this stuff works. Oh my God. Yeah. And there began my career in Germany. And then, I thought, right, what else do I need? What else do I need? Oh my God, I need to fix up my German. Like, it was pretty much non-existent. So then I wrote to the Goethe Institute, explained what I'd just received, this amazing prize, and I was going to Cologne for a year. Could they help me? And they gave me a 2-month scholarship.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
So I moved to Germany in May 2002, went straight down to beautiful Bavarian town called Murnau. The Goethe Institute doesn't have an office there anymore, but it's about 70 k's from Munich. Yeah. And I studied there for 2 months, German, every day from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m.
Oh my God. Oh, wow.
That's all I could think about.
No.
And even at the end of 2 months, I felt like, oh my God, I need another 2 months.
Yeah.
Because you have a very basic working knowledge of the language.
That's right.
And you feel, well, I felt as though I couldn't express myself deeply. It was all superficial, you know. You could ask, how are you, and the weather, and what's the time, and in what direction do I need to go to find the bakery?
Where is the toilet?
Exactly. Wo ist die Toilette? Yeah.
That is so amazing, though. That is so amazing. I guess what my takeaway from this before we wrap this up is the whole visualization piece, because a lot of people don't get to where they want to get to because they don't know how. They don't know how it feels like. They don't know how it looks like, which is why vision boards are so powerful and why people use it. When you can see it, it becomes more tangible. Then
Absolutely.
somehow your destiny will take you there when it becomes more and more tangible.
I know, but I also teach just look, really the basics of quantum physics, which says that the nervous system can't actually tell the difference between what you're seeing with your five senses and what you're imaginingly vividly in your mind.
That's right.
So you have this amazing faculty, this higher faculty called our imagination, and we can take ourselves there at will at any time. And we can use our will to hold that image on the screen of our minds and create the life we want.
Yep.
It's that easy.
So do you mind that while we have you here, that you share a little bit? Because you know what, when people say, I talk a lot about visualization as well and how powerful it is, but the resistance I get from people is that I don't know how. I can't see it. I can't feel it. Now, what do you do? What do you say to them?
Well, when I start with a client, quite often at some point in the coaching, and usually early on, I say to them, imagine that you've got a magic wand and you could get anything you wanted. That's when we start using our imagination. You remember as small children, we used it actively all the time. And then we were told to stop it. You pay attention. You listen to what I'm saying.
That's
and
right.
We literally phased out of our lives when we started going to school.
That's right.
And here's another thing, when people say they don't have an imagination, you ask them, do you ever worry? Because all worrying is imagining a negative outcome.
Wow, that's so true. Oh my God, that's a good one. Never thought of that one. That's a good one.
So worrying is praying for what you don't want. So why not choose what you do want? And therein lies power.
That's
Start thinking about what you want. And then I say to people, you haven't got an imagination. Do you ever wake up in the morning and think, what are we going to have for dinner? And then your brain starts going, well, we could have lasagna, but do I have the lasagna sheets? Do I need to go shopping? So you start already in your mind going to that place.
Wow. You're very good. You are very good. I must say, this is very good. I like it. I like it.
So if I can leave everyone with one idea, and that is to always think about, it's called, Neville Goddard is a wonderful author, and he wrote the book called The Awareness. And the whole book is using more assumption, which means assume whatever you assume is what you're going to get. So why not assume an amazing outcome? And the second thing is, if you want anything, you have to imagine that the wish is already fulfilled. And that's where you have to that's where you have to be all the time, that it's already happening. And then you make decisions from there.
That's hard though. That's the hard part when I tell people, imagine you already have it. They're like,
It's not at the beginning, it's not easy, but it's also a mindset, and you can train your mind to do it. And it's about getting quiet in yourself and thinking about, what do I want? And how often do we ask what we want? I was watching something yesterday. It's also my passion as a coach to also be improving every day. And I was watching a TED talk yesterday, and then something else came up. And it was Jim Carey. And it was, when you're watching YouTube, those little suggestions come up the side, which is always a trap because you can sit there for 5 hours.
Oh, I know.
This thing came up, and it was Jim Carey, and it was, how I manifested what I wanted in my life.
That's a very popular one, actually. I saw that before.
And, he talked about his dad and how he'd been a passionate saxophonist and was living the life he loved. And then as he started having a family and feeling responsibility, and he also had this belief that he had to go to America to make it. So he went across the border into the United States, and he had his family, and he decided to study accounting because that's a responsible thing, but he hated it. And it wore him down because he wasn't doing what he wanted.
I can't imagine him doing that.
No. This is Jim Carey's dad.
Right. Yeah.
Then Jim Carey said, and I wrote this down because I thought this is amazing. So he said, so many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality.
Ooh, I like that. I'm going to write this down too.
Yeah, what we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. Now, look at me. I was one of 5 children, grew up in a middle class family, hardworking mum and dad who instilled the good old work ethic, and I had this dream of being a singer.
That's right.
And through perseverance and resilience and always going back, no, but what do I want? What do I want? This person tells me I can't be a soloist. Bollocks. What do I want? And therefore, how it's my responsibility to get me there. And I know you mentioned before the how. I don't think about the how at first. When I wanted to be a singer at that time, I didn't know how I was going to do it. But the universe sends you what you need at the right time, I promise.
I totally agree. I really do.
Right people, the right resources, and you've got all the resources you need. If there's something out there that you want to do, just believe. And that's the other thing, belief. Oh my gosh, you have to have a belief that it's possible, because it's just not going to happen if you don't believe it.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree though. So this is the biggest takeaway, I think, besides all the tips that Sharon has given us about how to, if you want to be an opera singer, you need to get fit, okay, and learn your European languages, people. But most of all, the belief though, because who would even think that? I wouldn't think that. I will not think that to be an opera singer. I would think this is impossible. And it truly is. You need to dare to ask for it, and
Absolutely.
then dare to go and get it when the opportunity presents itself.
So it's a combination of holding the dream at the exclusion of all else on the screen of your mind, but then the action. So it's a coming together of these two amazing things. And it really does. And look, even when, for me, I thought, what else can I do? I've had this amazing experience, this wealth of knowledge. I want to help people. So now I'm feeling like my role is turning to a role of service, where I can show people that I can help you get there. I'm like the guide with the torch in the dark room. Yo, over here, you missed this. Because we all have the same equipment, Karen. We really, really do.
Yeah.
So you just choose what you want.
I know, but that's the thing. A lot of people, they are scared.
I know, but once again, fear is just, false evidence appearing real. It's not real. It's also imagination. Think about it.
It is. Absolutely. I totally agree. And I love it. I love that every time, I mean, we don't speak often, but every time I speak to you, you always give me something good to take away. So this is so amazing. This is so amazing. And definitely, I'm not going to have this wonderful interview with Sharon and say, oh, this is it. I'm just going to keep her for myself. So what's going to happen is Sharon will leave her contact details in the comments. All right. After this live, she will just pop it in there. So if you're after an amazing coach who has actually manifested one of the hardest occupation ever, and you want to know how to get to your dream, she will be the person you want to go to. Trust me, she inspires me though.
And I have these, amazing experiences as an opera singer, as a performer, but I literally believe I can coach anybody to where they want to go.
I really believe that too. And yeah, I have no doubt that you can help a lot of people. So do you want to quickly just talk about where people can find you?
Sure. Well, I do have a website for my coaching, which is really, really simple. I will put in the comments, but it's just www.sharonkempton-coach.com. And then I have my singing website if you want to, check out my other achievements.
Yes.
And so if you want to reach out, on that website is an opportunity for you to book a call with me. I also offer just a 30-minute free coaching to find out where you're at, where you want to go, what might be stopping you, and how I might be able to help.
Yeah. So this is truly somebody who's gone there, done it, and now she knows what it takes to get there. Whether you are a singer or not, that's not the point. If you're a singer, even better, because she's already done all the hard work. So she can tell you, okay, this is how you can do it. This what loopholes you can go through.
Yeah, but more importantly, and most importantly, I also train singers to sing, but most importantly, above all else, it's the mindset.
I truly believe that too. I truly believe that, because the sky is the limit. If you don't know, you just need, this visualization piece is so powerful, because it's true. It's true. It's because we don't know how success looks like. That's why a lot of us don't get there. You got to allow yourself to go there, then it will happen, because it's your brain just knows, oh yeah, that is the path to take. There's no doubt about it, because that's the path to take, because you already programmed it to think that way.
And we can be reprogrammed. That's another thing. People go, oh, I'm just as I am, I can't change.
Oh, absolutely can. Yeah, you absolutely can. All right, so with that, we will wrap up today's very interesting topic. So I'll be back next week with someone else with an entirely different one. And I won't say who is it now, because things happen and sometimes people can't turn up. So I won't put that pressure on, but please watch us again next week, because it'll be something good again. All right. Bye.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Bye.